G'day, I'm Paul. So the BMW X3, there's nothing really too new about it, but we don't have a review of it. It's really popular and I thought, let's drive one and see exactly what it's like. So today we are reviewing this. It's kind of the mid-spec model. It's the BMW X3 xDrive 30i, which means it's the all-wheel drive version. This is priced at a little under $86,000. If that's a little too much though, the entire range kicks off at just over 70 grand. This competes with things like the Audi Q5 and the Mercedes-Benz GLC. Today we're going to do a detailed review of this car, so if you do want to skip ahead to other parts of the review, use the time codes up on the screen there, or if you're on YouTube, scroll down and use the chapters below. And if you haven't done so already, I'd love it if you could subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon as well so you can find out every single time we drive something different. Now, before we talk about the exterior, I've got to apologise for the audio quality. It is extremely windy out here today and we're kind of under a flight path as well, which doesn't help. Now, you've got 7 external colours to pick from, and all but white is an additional $2,000. That is some expensive paint. The X3's design, it hasn't really changed a great deal. So the previous generation of this, it kind of looks quite similar, but I think it's a progressive change. It's not really something they're revolutionizing. And I think that's a good thing because it's quite a smart looking design and they've kind of kept with the family face. It looks like a mini version of the X5, which is a good thing for buyers of this car. You've got that twin kidney grille up the front here with lashings of chrome around the center stacks. You've also got this open section down the bottom with the radar built in. Little camera down here for the 360 camera, and then the BMW roundel up the top there. In terms of the headlights, you have full LED headlights with LED daytime running lights and matrix LED function, so it's an active shadowing setup. We actually shot a video comparing headlight technologies today, so if you do want to check that out, click up here. That'll give you a bit more of an insight into how all of this works, and then a fog light down the bottom. We'll come around to the side. Now, this normally comes standard with 20-inch alloy wheels, but as a no-cost option are these 19-inch alloy wheels. One of the things we often criticize BMWs for is just being far too firm. And in something like an X3, it's a bit of a family car, and if you're not going for the M version, you don't necessarily need something that is super firm and super sporty. So the 19-inch alloy wheel will give you the best of both worlds. You have adaptive damping, and then with the 19, you've got a little bit of extra cushioning. It does look a little strange from the side though, because it kind of looks like there's a bit too much profile in this tyre. But anyway, let me know what you reckon in the comment section below. I like the wheel design. It's just a simple single color, and this has the M Sport package. So in the background, you get those blue calipers and then an M badge there, and another M badge just off to the side. Over on your wing mirror, you have an indicator built in there, plus another camera there for the 360 camera. Got roof rails up the top, and then back here you have a set of LED lights built into that cluster, and then a reflector down the bottom. xDrive indicates that this is all-wheel drive. S-Drive indicates that it's just a two-wheel drive. 30i is the engine designation. Now, let me know what you reckon in the comments section below. Do you think the design has aged well, or do you reckon they need to sharpen it up a bit? Let me know your thoughts down there. So we're sitting inside the X3. Let's start off with the key. So you've got unlock, lock, boot, and then a button to flick the lights on temporarily. It's a proximity sensing key, so you just leave that in your pocket. Along the side there, you got the BMW M symbol, and this is all metallic, so it's nice and cold to the touch. Once you do hop inside the car, you have a push button start along the top here. In terms of the styling, look, I personally think this looks pretty smart. You've got the infotainment system sitting atop the dashboard there. All of these materials are fairly sort of rubberized. There's nothing too fancy about it. It is fairly German and generic. It doesn't sort of pop out or stand out, but I think it is nice and classy and it does the job there. Dividing that infotainment system in the lower section of the car is this textured material in the center, and there is a ton of piano black around here. Standard thing, I say this in pretty much every review, it marks really easily, so that is one thing you need to keep in mind when buying a car like this, that you're going to spend a lot of time cleaning that material. Now, what about your touch points? So center console there is it's a little bit firm, but it's sort of soft if you rest your elbow on it. Same story over on the door, they're not too bad. How soft are they? Well, we've tested the main surfaces in this car with our durometer. If you want to see how this compares to other cars we've tested before, have a look at the link in the description. And then build quality. Look, it's all pretty solid. Nothing to complain about here. Let's talk infotainment. So BMW has just updated iDrive, so there's a brand new version of it coming, but this is what they currently use throughout most of the cars on the market. It's a 10.25-inch unit. Now, we do have a detailed review of iDrive. You can click up here to watch that, but today I'll give you a brief overview. So not only is this a touchscreen, you can use your finger to shift between those. You can also option gesture control as well. With gesture control, you can move your hand around, it'll control the screen. You also have the iDrive controller down here that moves everything spinning around as well. You've got your shortcuts down the side there, and then also down the bottom here, you can apply shortcuts to different items, everything from radio stations to different menu items. In terms of radio, you have AM, FM and DAB plus digital radio. There's a standard 6-speaker sound system. On the smartphone mirroring front, you have both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Now, Apple CarPlay, I'll show you what that looks like. Here it is here, and that is wireless, which is a really nice integration. Full screen as well, very high resolution. I've mentioned this in our previous reviews. It's really strange, but Apple CarPlay, for some reason, I can't just use the iDrive controller to jump over to that menu. I've got to literally scroll all the way across through all the menus before it actually comes up there. So it is a little bit frustrating. You can do that in Android Auto, just not in Apple CarPlay. And this is what Android Auto looks like. So it's wireless as well. So it takes up the full screen, but it's a little bit deceiving because over here you have a clock, but if we go back to the main menu, you can actually assign different items to that side. So here it's the maps, and that's what it appears like. Same story in terms of the integration. It's full screen, really high resolution, and like I mentioned before, you can use the iDrive joystick to jump between those menu segments without having to scroll through everything to get there. There is also a 12.3-inch display ahead of the driver. You can configure some of the components on here, such as the right-hand side where we can flick between different display items, and then you have speedometer on the left, tacho on the right, and then ahead of the driver is a head-up display. Let's talk about safety technology. So you have low and high speed autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian detection. It works both in forwards and reverse. You have blind spot monitoring built into the wing mirror. You also have lane departure warning, a lane keeping assistant, rear cross traffic alert, front cross traffic alert, and you have a semi-autonomous steering function. Look, this doesn't actually work that well. I was trying it this morning on the way here, and I don't know, it just bounces around inside the lane, and it's not very confidence inspiring, so I just basically switched it off and didn't really use it. In terms of the camera, you have a 360-degree camera with front and rear parking sensors. I'll show you what that looks like. There it is there. So you can select different views as you go, or the car will automatically select those views for you. And then you can also see guidelines there that move with the steering wheel as well. You can also package, like we do in this car, the comfort package, which also brings with it park assist amongst other features. If you want to see how this technology works, we actually shot a video detailing exactly this and how it all comes together. Click up here to watch that. Okay, let's talk about practicality, and we'll start with our connectivity. So you have one USB-A port down the front here, 12 volt here. You have a wireless charging pad for your phone as well. You have a USB-C outlet in the center console. In terms of storage itself, you can pop your phone here in the cup holders, or it can live down there on the wireless charging pad. And then for your coffee cup, floral one today, it can go down the front here. It's actually quite a decent storage slot for both bottles and coffee cups because it allows them to sit nice and tight. It's got those teeth on the side there. I'll show you what it looks like with a bottle in there. It holds it in nice and tightly. Okay, now, what about our big bottle? Obviously it doesn't fit down there, but we'll try fit it inside the doors. Easily fits in there, and then you have extra storage space as well. Plus storage down here. The center console is a decent size, and then we also have a glove box as well that is reasonably sized. Now, what about comfort? You have dual zone automatic climate control. You have electric seat adjustment for the driver and front passenger with memory for the driver as well. Seats themselves, I don't know, they're interesting. They're a little bit boring. They're just sort of this leatherette sort of material with the stitching down the sides there in that center section. They don't really have any perforations, so in summer you're probably going to get a little bit hot against these, but they are comfortable, and the bolster extends at the bottom as well. I love the steering wheel here in BMWs. Fills the hands really nicely, makes the paddle shifters easy to reach, and then the steering itself has tilt and reach adjustment with all of these controls within easy reach as well. Okay, second row of the X3. I've actually got a reasonable amount of room here. I've got my seat pretty far back in terms of the driver's seat, and knee room is decent, toe room is really decent, and headroom is pretty good. So we have a panoramic sunroof up the top here, so one of the options you can get with the X3. There are air vents down here, plus a third zone of climate control for your rear passengers, 2 USB-C outlets. You have mat pockets in the back seats. You've got a center armrest here with 2 cup holders built into it. I'll show you what it looks like with our standard bottle in there. It's little rubber teeth to hold everything in place. And then you have extra storage inside the doors, where you can hopefully fit one of these. There you go, that's pretty impressive. So if kids have mammoth drink bottles, they're going to be able to store those fairly easily. Now this center seat also folds down, so you can get access to the boot if you need it. And for the little ones, you have ISOFIX points on the 2 outboard seats that are joined by 2 top tether points as well. Let's sort cargo space. So you've got a power tailgate. One push of that opens it up. So here with the second row up, you have around 500 litres of cargo space available. Off to the sides, you'll see some hooks and also a 12-volt outlet. Then you have storage down the side for your first aid kit, and then also storage beneath here as well. Now, under the cargo floor, because this has run flat tyres, you don't have a spare tyre under here, but you do have some additional storage. And I'll show you what it looks like with our bags inside. So laptop bag in first, and then suitcase next. There you go, so plenty of room. Now, if you do want to expand the space, it's actually a pretty straightforward process. Off to the side here, you have these little levers that drop the second row. And then when you do have the second row drop, that space increases to 1,600 litres. Okay, we're on the road in the BMW X3. So powering this spec is a 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine. It makes 185 kilowatts of power and 350 newton meters of torque, and it's all mated to an 8-speed torque converter automatic. Now it's good news because there is no dual clutch gearbox here to make life hard. It is just very smooth and very straightforward. And that means when you're behind the wheel, you can just get stuck into it. And it just feels really nice and punchy. There's barely any delay, and I don't know, the benefits of a dual clutch in being quicker just really aren't that evident here. BMW claims a combined fuel economy of 7.4 litres per 100 Ks. If you're going to be doing slightly harder driving like we've been doing today, we're averaging 9.6 litres per 100, so it's going to be a little thirstier than the official claim. Let's talk drive modes. So you've got a few of them to choose from here. So you have adaptive, which just looks at your driving style and then adjusts it accordingly. You have sport, comfort, and eco pro. Eco pro being the one that sort of dulls all the sensory parts of the car, reduces air conditioning and everything in the hunt for a little bit more economy. The thing I find interesting, we have adaptive suspension, and there's a fairly noticeable difference between all of these drive modes. So in sport there, you can actually feel that it becomes significantly firmer, and then when you switch over to comfort, it sort of smooths out nicely. So that's going to be the key difference there with those 19-inch alloy wheels. You can still have a comfortable ride without having it throw you about all the time. And speaking of sport mode, let's give this a little punch. Look, it's got a fair bit of hustle, but I don't know, it just kind of sounds like a sewing machine. It really doesn't sound very good at all. Yeah, okay, I don't love that. I was hoping it'd have a bit of rasp, a little bit of crackle and pop. Yeah, I don't know, it just sounds like it's just whirring away. There's no real sort of emotional character to it. But I did notice here in the sport mode that the gearbox is doing a really good job of holding gears so that I have torque available all the time. It's actually quite impressive. I didn't even need to slide that over into the sport mode for the gearbox. So yeah, that's pretty cool the way it does that. BMW claims a 0 to 100 time of 6.4 seconds. We put it up against our stopwatch to see how it would go. Okay, the ride. Let me pop this back into comfort. It is really impressive. So the 19s plus the adaptive suspension give this a really nice and smooth ride. So even out here in the country where we're getting sort of bumps mid-corner and just really nasty road surfaces, it's doing a pretty good job of handling it all. You can still feel the sporty intentions beneath, so it hasn't completely dulled everything, but it's not exactly breaking your neck like it is in something like the M40i version of the X3. Steering feel is pretty impressive, and as we come up to a few corners here, pop that into sport. Yeah, it's nice and flat, and it's just got a real surety to it. It kind of feels confidence inspiring, and you know that if you do find a few corners, it's just really going to let you get settled into that and just get stuck into the throttle. The all-wheel drive system does a really good job of giving you that confidence as well. It's not like one of those on-demand systems that just snaps into front or rear-wheel drive when it senses traction loss. This is just constantly monitoring the situation and just giving you everything that you need. So what about noise while you're driving out here? There is a fair bit of wind noise because it is very windy today, but the road noise is actually not that bad. And that's also, again, I keep singing the praises of these 19-inch alloy wheels, but that comes partly thanks to that. You have a lot of rubber on the sidewall there, and it's not translating everything into the cabin. So you can still hear a little bit of stuff on this coarse chip surface out on a country road at highway speeds, but it's actually quite a nice place to be seated. Let's talk visibility. Out the front there, it's excellent. The rear's very good. Wing mirrors are huge. They've got the blind spot monitor built into them as well. I don't know, it doesn't feel like a massive SUV to drive, and with the cameras that you have, the front and rear parking sensors, it's actually pretty straightforward to park as well. So, you know, it is a car that I think you could really put anyone in and they'd be confident driving it. Finally, ground clearance. Yeah, okay, no off-roading, but if you do want to go a little bit off-road, 204 millimeters of ground clearance, which is enough to get you to a campsite or something like that. So the BMW X3, I think this is a car that really strikes a good balance between sportiness and comfort, especially with the 19-inch alloy wheels. Where the GLC is more on the comfort side and the Q5 is, I guess, more on the comfort side as well, this really gives you a good option if you do want a bit of that punchy sportiness behind the wheel, but you still want all the tech and the gadgets and all the fun stuff. So yeah, I think the X3 is really nice. In terms of the downsides, look, I don't know, there are a few options there that should probably be standard. I mean, heated seats on an $85,000 car, that would be nice if that sort of stuff was standard. But anyway, this is how they get that little bit of extra money from you. But anyway, look, outside of that, I think it is a really exceptional machine. It is heaps of fun to drive, and it has all the latest bells and whistles as well. So let me know in the comments section below, did you buy one? How's it all going? Did you pay for heated seats? Let me know what you think. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you hit the like button. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so you can find out every single time we publish something new. But until next time, take it easy.